It's the inside of my C10, and I'm just sitting in here thinking about something. Okay, if you ever had a 350 transmission or a th400 transmission, and it runs, I ain't gonna say run good, but drives good, shifts good, don't overheat, but you can be driving along and maybe after about 45 minutes to an hour, it slips out of gear. Pull on side the road or whatever, let it cool back down, drive home, and does nothing again. The next day you try it, it do nothing. Then another random day you try it, and it slips out of high gear again. And it goes into like a neutral. And if you shift it back down, it'll go to second or it'll go to first, but it won't go in drive or overdrive in the third gear. So what that is your bore is wore out in the transmission where the governor goes. And what happens is once the fluid get around 200, it thins out and it slips past the governor bore. And it no longer holds pressure after that. So it will have you thinking your transmission slipping or then overheated or your governor is worn out or something like that. And it's not. The problem is you're going to have to get a kit with a sleeve in it to put in there. And it's going to be real thin. Or you're going to have to put a forward manual shift, or you got to put a reverse manual shift valve body in it. And that can bypass the governor. But if you just want to drive along and eat and let it shift on its own or whatever, you're going to have to get that sleeve. Or if you don't get the sleeve, you got to get the manual valve body or take all of your internals out of that casing and get another casing that's not worn out where the governor goes. So I'm just giving a tip because I'm dealing with the same issue right now. I got a S10 that I don't drive far. I drive probably about maybe 30 minutes away. But the day I did try to drive a long way, that's what happened to me. It slipped out of high gear after I was racing somebody on the street. And I was just cruising along after the race, and then it just slipped out of gear. I thought my transmission was broke. So I went to second gear, and it went to second. And I gave it gas, and it went to third. And probably about 10 seconds later, it slipped back out of third again. So I thought I had all kind of problems, and it wasn't that. It's crazy to the point that I end up running 2 transmission coolers on my truck with an electric fan on the coolers. And it took way longer for that to happen because the transmission fluid stayed cool longer, but it still happened. So that's a tip. If you're having problems with your transmission, just out of the blue after 45 minutes, 30 minutes, or even an hour, and it just slips out of high gear, that's your problem right there. If you didn't change your modulator valve, if you check the holes going to it, if you didn't change all of that stuff and you know your shift cable point is right, that's your problem. So thanks for listening, and I'll be back with another tip.